All right, today we are diving deep into one of the wildest and, honestly, most unsettling mysteries bubbling up on the internet right now. It's a story about forgotten childhoods, secret government projects, and a quest for the very nature of consciousness itself.
So let me just start by asking you a question. Were you ever in one of those gifted programs at school? The one where you'd get pulled out of your regular class for special lessons. Try and think back. What did you actually do in there? If the details are kind of foggy, well, you are definitely not alone.
In fact, a huge viral investigation, kicked off by a TikTok creator named Jake Matthews, is suggesting that there's this massive shared case of amnesia among people who are in these programs. We're talking thousands of people, all at once, realizing they have the exact same bizarre, disjointed memories and the same creepy blank spots where their childhood should be.
So, what exactly are people starting to remember? Well, it's not some clear, neat story. It's more like a catalog of strangeness, a pattern of really weird memories that are shockingly consistent from person to person. A lot of people say they were picked for the program, even though they had totally normal grades. The classes themselves were often in these weird, isolated trailers, away from the main school, sometimes with the windows blacked out, and the vibe was off. It felt less like learning and more like you were constantly being tested. Even the field trips were strange, always small groups going to places like planetariums, aquariums, and, get this, cemeteries. And the games they played, they sound a whole lot more like psych experiments. So many people remember these old, clunky, grayish-green headphones, not just for hearing tests, but for weird listening exercises. There were timed puzzles like tangrams, and the Stroop test, where you have to say the color of the ink, not the word it spells. And some even remember doing exercises to straight-up guess ESP cards, a direct test for psychic abilities.
But maybe the most disturbing piece of the puzzle is the shared memory of this weird pink drink they were given in a little Dixie cup. The cover story was that it was just a fluoride treatment, but then an alleged insider came forward with this absolutely chilling claim. The drink was a chemical agent used with hypnotherapy pumped in through those headphones to embed programming deep in their minds while simultaneously suppressing the memories of it all.
And the weirdness doesn't just stop in childhood. This is what's so wild. The patterns continue into their adult lives. People have this incredibly specific memory of hearing distant, mumbling male voices right before they'd fall asleep as a kid. There's a statistically huge number of them who've had near-death experiences, often involving drowning. And maybe the strangest of all is this uncanny thing where they realize years later that almost all of their closest friends and even their partners were also in a GATE program.
So, what in the world could explain all of this? Well, the first major theory that popped up pulls this whole mystery right into the paranoia of the Cold War. The idea? Psychic espionage. Just look at this timeline for a second. It's stunning. In 1957, the Soviets launched Sputnik, and the U.S. completely panics. The very next year, the government passes the National Defense Education Act, which literally links public schools to national security. Then over the next couple of decades, these GATE programs start popping up everywhere. And at the exact same time, what's the CIA doing? Oh, just secretly running Project Stargate to research psychics, and MK Ultra, their notorious mind control program. The timelines are running in perfect parallel. This all leads to something called the dual-purpose hypothesis. And the idea is pretty simple and kinda terrifying. These gifted programs were the perfect cover. On the surface, they were all about advanced education. But secretly, they were a massive dragnet, a nationwide talent scouting operation to find kids with very specific gifts, maybe psychic, maybe just cognitive, who could be groomed for the military and intelligence communities down the line.
And here's how they could have pulled it off. The whole thing was built on plausible deniability. A kid goes home and tells their parents they did a hearing test. They don't say they were being tested for predictive abilities or getting hypnotherapy through the headphones. They say they got a fluoride treatment, not a chemical to erase their memory. They played fun games, not a battery of psychological tests. It's the perfect cover. But if you think psychic spies is the end of this rabbit hole, you might want to buckle up. Because the investigation doesn't stop there. Some of the source material that surfaced suggests a reason for all this that is way more profound, way more metaphysical, a purpose that gets to the very core of why we even exist. Okay, so the first of these big ideas is called the totemic hierarchy of being. I know, it's a mouthful, but the core concept is that the entire universe is basically a project
a project to solve the problem of pointlessness by building a being that can experience profound feeling, specifically love. In this view, consciousness itself isn't the end goal. It's just the vessel, the instrument created to hold that feeling.
And this being is built in 4 layers. You start with the physical substrate, just raw matter. That's the body of the instrument. Then you add the mental layer, logic, rules, structure. That's the sheet music. Then comes the magic spark, the spiritual layer, self-awareness, the I. That's the musician. But a musician with no reason to play is just a bored god. So the final crucial piece is the emotional crown. Love, value, purpose. That's the motive for making music in the first place.
The second theory is just as mind-bending. It's called the transit. This framework basically says that our reality is like a biological simulation that's in the middle of a massive system update. We are literally in the process of an evolutionary leap, shifting between dimensions of consciousness all the time. But it's so gradual we barely even notice it. So how's it supposed to work? Well, according to this theory, the real heavy lifting happens when we're asleep. During the day, our waking mind holds onto a single, stable reality. But at night, our dream state acts like an integration engine, processing the shift between dimensional frequencies. What's the result? You literally never wake up in the same exact dimension you fell asleep in. So you're left with these 2 absolutely epic visions for what humanity is all about. On one hand, the totemic hierarchy says the point is to build this perfect container for emotion, to give a meaningless universe a purpose through love. On the other hand, the transit says our goal is to consciously evolve, to ride this dimensional wave and become a new human who can literally write the rules for our next reality.
So let's just bring this all back down to earth. We started with a simple question about a forgotten class in elementary school, and we've ended up staring at some of the biggest questions you can possibly ask about the purpose of existence.
It's really incredible. What starts as a TikTok trend about fuzzy childhood memories spirals into this massive, sprawling investigation that weaves through Cold War paranoia, secret CIA projects, and lands on these unbelievably profound ideas about why any of us are here at all. But after all the grand theories and cosmic ideas, you have to bring it back to the human element. Jake Matthews, the guy who started this whole thing, said it perfectly. I just want to know what happened to me. I want to know what happened to us as kids and why I can't remember it. That's what this is about at its heart, a personal, painful search for answers. So this whole investigation is asking the question, what were these programs for? Were they looking for psychic spies? Were they trying to build a vessel for God? But maybe, just maybe, the most important and honestly the most chilling question we should be asking is, whatever they were designed to do, did they work?